Well, we start with Manchester United, and it could be a busy fortnight for the Old Trafford hierarchy as they look to strengthen their squad before the transfer deadline on September the 1st. A new season began with a promising performance, but a narrow defeat as an error from standing goalkeeper Altay Bayındır allowed Arsenal to pinch a 1-0 win. We'll get to these two in a minute. After the game, Gary Neville was adamant they must sign a new goalkeeper.
It also points towards a glaring issue for United that can't be ignored, and that is that they do need to find a goalkeeper. They have to. I'm absolutely unequivocal on that, because I had experience at United for 20 years where there were two big periods of 7 or 8 years with Schmeichel and Van der Sar, and then in between we had 7 or 8 goalkeepers in a sort of 6, 7, 8 year period. And it's really unsettling when you haven't got a dominant number one who's 6'2", who's dominant in the air, who owns his 6-yard box, who comes and punches everything, who makes a lot of saves and one-on-one and saves your points when your defenders make mistakes.
Well, Dharmesh and Kave are here. Strong comments then, Darms. So will they get involved?
It's easier said than done. It's going to be really difficult in the final 2 weeks for Manchester United to recruit a new goalkeeper. I think there was talk earlier in the transfer window that Manchester United could go in for a goalkeeper amid, like, a lot of rumours about Andre Onana's future. But then Andre Onana actually got injured in pre-season and he was set to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So any kind of move during the transfer window and the early part of the window was going to be completely ruled out. And then, publicly at least, Ruben Amorim, before and after the game against Arsenal, has publicly said that he is happy with his goalkeeping department. He's happy with the 3 keepers that he's got there in Tom Heaton, Altay Bayındır and Andre Onana. And there was that talk, because he picked Bayındır, was Onana dropped because Onana was fit? He insists it wasn't a dropping at all. He basically said he was fit, but he's hardly trained as compared to the other goalkeepers. He's hardly had any game time compared to the other 2 goalkeepers. And so he made that choice to choose Bayındır over Onana. Now, if an offer was to come in for Onana, there hasn't been one yet, but if there was, then maybe the landscape can change. But as I mentioned to you, 2 weeks today is deadline day. This is not going to be very easy to do, both in and out.
Yeah, Donnarumma, of course, one of the best goalkeepers in world football. He's available, Kave. Surely there are multiple Premier League clubs interested in this man.
I think they may be interested in him, but there has been no contact between, for instance, Manchester United or Manchester City and Donnarumma's representatives. I think what needs to happen is, for instance, Manchester City would need to sell a goalkeeper before they were to make a move for somebody like Donnarumma, and it's the same situation at Manchester United. So yes, he's arguably the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. He is available, but I think if you're talking about the possibility of him going to City or Manchester United, at least one goalkeeper would have to leave those clubs before they would make a move for Donnarumma, and there's been no contact. Obviously, there have been lots of stories. We know there is interest because, of course, there's going to be interest in a goalkeeper like Donnarumma. But don't forget, PSG would still want big money to sell him, even though he's only got a year left on his contract, and he is on big wages as well.
I think that one other thing to say about Donnarumma as well, I think there might be a bit of brinkmanship between PSG and Donnarumma the later we get in this transfer window, because on the one side, PSG know he has to play. This is the World Cup next summer. He wants to be playing regular first-team football ahead of Italy's participation in the World Cup.
But he's not going to do that with them.
Well, no, because they brought in a new goalkeeper in Lucas Chevalier, and he's their number 1 goalkeeper. Kave mentioned the wages he's on. I just wonder, the later we get into this transfer window, the later we get and the closer we get to deadline day, is there going to be a possibility whereby PSG might even loan Donnarumma out just to get the wages off the books? Because the high wages that he's on, they could save between 15 and 17 million pounds for that year. And people will say, well, he's only got a year left on his contract. How can he go on loan? Well, he could. They just take the wages off the bill, and that saves a transfer fee for a club, rather than PSG being in that position where they're not going to play him, they're going to pay him, and then he's going to leave for free anyway. So both sides, I think, are just waiting to see which one is going to blink first.